a 2-1, Alvarez hits a high drive center field. Veer leans back. This game is turned upside down.
The Houston Astros have won the World Series. You can thank Yordan Alvarez. You can thank Framber Valdez for getting the job done in Game 6. Jeremy Pena was great throughout. We got to figure out a few things here. Who's the MVP? I want you to comment below. Those of you that are with me live, those of you that watch the replay, you already know who the MVP is. But depending on what you think, who do you think deserved to be the MVP? If you think it should have gone a different way, as of the current moment, as of right now, we will wait to see who will be the MVP. But Yordan Alvarez isn't going to win the MVP, but I do think he had the MVP moment in this thing with his home run off of Alvarado. We're going to talk about this. Was this the mistake that you're going to see in a World Series? But this is just a big, congratulations to the Houston Astros. Congratulations. What's going on, Derek? I know you're pumped, brother. I hope you're doing well. We've picked up a lot of Astros fans here on the channel over the last couple of days, and I understand why. So all of my new Astros fans that have subscribed to the channel, welcome in. Again, everybody, welcome in. Make sure to hit that like. We do have our like goal of 100. Again, I had a glitchy start to this thing. So let's just get it up one more time. Let's relive the moment from this World Series.
On a 2-1, Alvarez hits a high drive center field. Veer leans back. This game is turned upside down.
Be honest, when Thompson made that move and put Yordan Alvarez in, that didn't feel right, did it? Like, if he went to Ranger Suarez, that would have been one thing, but he went to Yordan Alvarez the other day, and Alvarado hit Alvarez right away. So you couldn't have felt good about that. From the moment he walked out, Zach Wheeler had been dealing. I understand under the current circumstances, understand why you make the move, but it just didn't feel right. Again, congratulations to the Houston Astros. This man is a champion for the first time in his long coaching career. Dusty Baker is a champion. Congratulations to Dusty Baker. This man is also a champion. Trey Turner, battling back from cancer, traded at the trade deadline. The heartbreak that was there with Baltimore, and got to leave the Orioles, and you're going. It didn't matter where he was going. He was leaving Baltimore. So I think Baltimore, you can feel good a little bit with this one because your boy Trey Mancini is a World Series champion. But again, who is your MVP? We will get the word in just a minute. And for those of you that are with me live, let's get a poll going so you can vote on who you think should be the World Series MVP. We will find out very soon. It will not take too long to get the World Series MVP figured out here. Let's get everything open. Here we are. Let's get this going. Again, remember, everybody smash that like if you have not yet. Let's get the poll up. I want to give you the opportunity. Where's the poll? Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Start a poll. Wow, that's weird. Something changed. YouTube making some changes. Who's your World Series MVP? It's really between two. I know there's some love for Presley. Here's what we'll do. We'll go No. We'll go Valdez. We'll go Pena. I'm going to give you guys a couple options. I know that there is some there's some movement for players like Tucker. No, not Tucker. Let's go Alvarez because of the big one. Let's go Alvarez, and let's also add in Presley. It was good. I mean, I don't think I spelled that right. Presley. Is that right? I don't think that's right either. This is not right. I don't think I'm spelling it right, but I'm putting it out there because I don't want to wait any longer. So you guys vote for the MVP. Who's your MVP? I'm torn between Valdez and Pena. If they wanted to go a split MVP situation in this World Series, I'd be fine with it. I would honestly be fine with it if that's the way they wanted to go. But Framber Valdez was great. I mean, this pitcher's duel with Zach Wheeler on the other side, just not letting anything happen. Valdez, Wheeler, that was a great pitcher's duel. And it was in the sixth that, again, the Rob Thompson, this is something that will be second guessed for quite some time. But this is, these are mistakes that are made. Wheeler ultimately has a couple of runs on his line, but those belong to, really Alvarado. Alvarado's wearing those, even though they are charged to Wheeler. But Valdez goes out there, 6 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts, 1 run, was absolutely just unhittable. I mean, you just could not get to him. Again, I know Schwarber got to him, but that was it. And you got to score more than 1 run to beat the Astros. Just an absolute great performance from Valdez in the postseason this year. Earlier, going up against Philly, was lights out, 6 1/3, 9 strikeouts, 1 run, allowed 2 runs in the World Series in 2 starts. Just, come on. He was great. I know Pena was great as well. We've documented that. We've talked about how great Pena has been in the World Series. But who's your MVP? Ultimately, Jeremy Pena in the World Series, 10 for 25. He was great. He really was. He was something. So you guys let me know who your MVP is. Is it this man or is it this man? Who is your World Series MVP, everybody? Let's see here. Let me close that up. I don't need that there. Joshua, you did do it. You got to feel good. You got to feel good. Astros fans, you got to feel good about this one. So we're going to talk a little bit more about this, but again, I get back to this question right here. The mistake of the season. Now, the whole inning starts out, Maldonado was trying to get hit. Dude knows his strengths, okay? He was up there. They showed it in the broadcast. In the 6th inning, he was standing closer to the plate. He was taking the inside part of the plate away. I need Zach Wheeler. I need you to see that, brother. I need you to see that the inside of the plate has been taken away, and don't throw anything even close. Throw it right down the middle. It's Martin Maldonado. Throw it right down the middle. Sliders away, fastballs down the middle. Because Maldonado gets on, things happen. He comes out. Wheeler does. Alvarado. Again, if you went Suarez, I guess I'd be okay with it. But again, Wheeler had been pitching so well. We live in a time where that's the moment where you will take the starting pitcher out. Because if the next batter gets a hit, then you are looking at a situation where you're going to get second guessed for that. But in this situation, again, I don't think you needed to take him out of the game. I think you could have left him in. I didn't run to Twitter and put it out there in advance so that I tried to look good or anything like that. But you had a situation where, and again, this is another one. Jeremy Pena came up big. So you had Altuve the force out. Then you got Altuve at first. Then Pena gets one back up the middle. Altuve gets to third. You got runners on the corners. Remember, you're up 1-0. This is the argument to have left Wheeler in. Obviously, the pitch count, how well he had been pitching. If Altuve scored in that moment, let's say you got a ground ball, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for Wheeler to try to throw a ground ball to Alvarez. That would have been an easy double play. You would have let the run score, but it would have been 1-1. They went to Alvarado against a pitcher that crushes left-handed pitching as it is, and it was over. Your daddy. Over the hitter's eye. Not even close, Alvarado was to having, and I mean, I am 1 million times better than you, and watch me hit it over the moon. That was just crazy. Again, this just feels like it's the mistake that the World Series, I don't believe, will be remembered for this outside of Philly. Inside Philly, this one's going to sting. This is going to be something. Now, listen, you move on with Rob Thompson. It's going to be good. But this one just kind of hurt. It just kind of hurt. They are doing the conference now, so we will find out who the MVP is going to be again. Are you in Camp Pena? Are you in Framber's camp? This is Framber. Valdez, I do believe, he got credit for the win, right? The way everything lined up, I do believe Valdez got the win. Valdez 2-0 in the World Series. He won half of the games. We've seen this in the past. Strasburg got the World Series MVP back in 2019. So it makes you think that, yes, I know Pena had a great World Series, but you can see how it ends up going the way of Framber Valdez getting this thing. Yankee prods, it definitely, I mean, that's one of those things that that hurts. That hurts for sure. Dusty Baker finally got his win. Timothy, yes, he did. David Abreu deserves an MVP. I don't think they're just not going to give. Listen, I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm not going to disagree that there was some great pitching out of the bullpen in this postseason, but they're going to give it to the guy. If they're going to give it to a pitcher, they're going to give it to and I know I have Presley up there. They're going to give it to a pitcher who pitched more. I mean, you just had more ratings. You had 2 wins. You had all the innings. You had lights out stuff. They got Framber Valdez standing up there next to Dusty Baker. Where's Pena right now? I don't see Pena on the stage, so we're waiting to see who's going to get it. We'll wait and see who's going to get it. But Presley was great. Let me find out. Let's see if I get these numbers up real quick. Presley's numbers in the World Series specifically. Again, Brian Abreu, just to give him a shout out because, again, I think he pitched really well. He's probably not going to get, he won't get the MVP, but 4 games, 5 innings, 1 hit, 9 strikeouts, 0 runs on Brian Abreu. He was great. He was great, but he pitched 5 innings. He pitched 5 innings. When we think about innings pitched, we think about performance. Framber Valdez pitched 12 1/3 and gave up 2 runs, struck out 18 batters. So if you're gonna go with a pitcher, you're gonna go with Valdez in that situation. You did have great stuff from Presley. Presley also 5 games, 5 2/3, 2 for 2 with saves, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk. A run did come across, but it was an unearned run. But in the end, I think this is going to end up going to the way of. I think it'll end up going Valdez. But again, you guys let me know what you think. G-Man, I heard the chants at one point. At one point, there were chants. We want Houston. The Astros fans heard it all. What's going on, James? How are you? Just came here to tell you I'm sleeping until spring training. James, there you go, brother. Hey, stay close, James. We're going to have a lot of fun this offseason. All right. Jessica should have been called out. Are you talking about Maldonado should have been called out? And it looks like it is going to be Pena getting the World Series MVP. So I guess, we've got the question mark. No, that's not it. Yes, Trey Mancini, champion again. Looks like we do have the question mark. Jeremy Pena is the World Series MVP. I have a question mark up there. Let's see. If y'all bear with me for 2 seconds, I can get rid of that question mark. We can make it a exclamation point, and we can come right on back to the good stuff here. Let's bring it on back. Jeremy Pena is the MVP of the World Series. Again, we could talk about what he did. Again, Valdez winning 2 games. I would not have been surprised if they wanted to go that route. I really would not have. Just based on he won 2 of the 4 games. We think about the hitting in the World Series. Jeremy Pena 10 for 25 with a homer, 2 doubles, 3 RBI, 5 runs scored. Tonight in this game, what did they say in the broadcast? We should change his name to Jeremy the Last Hitter Faced Pena. 3 times in the World Series did Jeremy Pena knock a Phillies pitcher out of the game and got on base, moved Altuve over to third. Alvarez, boom. So Pena setting that up. Let's give him some credit. Let's give him some credit. Let's see. Brandon, really proud of my Phillies before the season. I said I would be satisfied if they made the playoffs. I'm so over Alvarado and Hoskins for the people saying they had no place being there. You're wrong. Philly definitely belonged there. Who's saying that? Who's saying that? Philly earned their way into this thing. They were one of the best teams in this postseason. They took down some big players, big teams to get to this point. So I'll give Philly all the credit. I like this Philly team. I really did. I enjoyed this Philly team. I thought that they were a good squad. They could hit, they could pitch. The bullpen was good. It just was not as good. It was not as good. Again, the pitching in the World Series for the Astros. Let's go specifically to the Astros. Let me make sure I've got this lined up so I don't say anybody that didn't count. Ryan Presley, 5 games, 0 earned runs. Brian Abreu, 4 games, 0 earned runs. Let's see. We had Hector Neris. Hector Neris really likes striking out his old teammates. Like, a little too much. Maybe it's just that it was the World Series. But we had 3 appearances from Hector Neris. No earned runs. Ryan Stanek, a couple of appearances. No earned runs. Jose Urquidy, 3 innings. No earned runs. I know some of these situations, you got a pitcher out there and it was, low leverage or anything like that. But you saw it, the pitching. They were doing their thing. Abreu was in high leverage spots. Presley was in high leverage spots. Rafael Montero, 1 run allowed in 4 appearances. Good stuff from Montero as well. So they did it. The Astros survived being down 1-0 or 0-1, however you want to look at it. They survived being down 2-1 on the road with 2 more games to play in Philly. They survived the pitch tipping McCullers incident. They won 3 straight games. It was 2-1 Philly. And then Houston said, all right, let's just put an end to this thing. They just, again, shut it down. They won 3 straight games to end this thing. You had the Phillies in the last 3 games of the World Series score 3 runs. They got no hit. They got 2 runs. They got 1 run. That's just the Astros pitching coming through and shutting it down. James, as a Mets fan, I know you've got some NL East teams, fans of NL East teams that might have been rooting against the Philadelphia Phillies. So, yes, I'm sure there are some Mets fans and some Braves fans that might be a little happy right now. So, are the Astros a dynasty, Luis? I can't go there. That was asked earlier. I can't go there. I want you to win one next year. You could take a year off in 24, but then come back and win one in 25. I got to get 3. I got to have 3 and 4. I got to have 3 and 5. I got to have 4 and 6. I can't have 1 in 17 that everybody questions. I can't have 1 here in 22. They're not a dynasty. Now, I guess, listen, do we want to call them a mini dynasty? Do we want to call them an American League dynasty? If you want to call them an American League dynasty, then that's okay, but what is that? Like, what is that really? They keep churning it out, right? They lost to Atlanta last year. They lost to Washington back in 19. They won in 17 again, I know, with the questions. But listen, American League Dynasty, sure. But what is that? We're going to call the Buffalo Bills in the early 90s an AFC Dynasty. It's about if you win the championship, that dynasty labels. I just can't go there quite yet. But they have been, if you're in the American League, they are it. And they are going to continue to be it. But I do expect Justin Verlander to opt out and likely be back with Houston, because at this point in Verlander's career, he wants the most direct path back to the World Series, and it's going to be Houston again. It's going to be Houston again next year. It's going to be Houston again the year after that, because this team is young, right? You've got a lot of young talent on this team on top of the veteran leadership that you have. So Verlander could be back. Now, Houston might not want to pay him to be back, because they may look at me like, you know what, it was great, Justin, but we've got Valdez, we've got McCullers, we've got Javier, we've got Garcia, we've got Urquidy, we've got Hunter Brown. There's 6 right there. So Justin, thanks. We'll see what happens with the whole Justin Verlander thing. That'll be fascinating. Carlos, only 2 players left from 17? Let's think about that. You got McCullers was there in 17. Altuve, Bregman. No, there's a few. Maldonado was there in 17, right? There's a handful. There's definitely a handful. That's a good point too. That's actually a good point too, Carlos. I want I want a lot of the same players still hanging around. I really do. I want a lot of those same players hanging around. 2017 Astros depth chart. Those are the names that sort of just jump out at me. Bregman and Altuve and McCullers, and I'm pretty sure again. No, Maldonado was not there. That was Brian McCann. That was Evan Gattis. So there was no Maldonado back in 17. You had Altuve. You had Bregman. You had Yuli Gurriel. Let's see. You had the left-handed killer Derek Fisher. I'm kidding. There you had Justin Verlander was on that team. You had Lance McCullers Jr. on that team. So you had, what's that, 5-6 guys? A couple subscribers coming in. Frank, thank you for subscribing. Welcome in, Frank. Welcome to our community. Thank you for subscribing. Welcome to BALLCAP Nation. You are a part of BALLCAP Nation when you subscribe. How effing cool is that? All you got to do is subscribe. It's free and easy. David, you subscribed a few minutes ago. David, welcome in. Let's see. We have exactly Lionheart answering a question about free agency. Right now, teams can sign off their roster, but other teams 5 days later. There's a few days here that we got to get through this whole situation. Is it 5? Thank you, Derek. Derek with it. Altuve, Bregman, McCullers, Verlander, and Yuli. I really thought Maldonado must have been there the year after. Jason, thank you for subscribing. Clint with the super chat. I appreciate the super chat coming in. That will play over, but I'm just going to read it real quick. Condolences to Phillies fans up MLB, Fox, Smoltz, keep crying. I have not been listening to the broadcast for a little bit, so I have no idea what Smoltz is saying or has been saying. I feel like Smoltz did okay for the most part during this World Series. Smoltz really gives you a nice player's feel, a pitcher's perspective, which is great because of how important pitching is in this thing these days. Bullpens, starters, approaches, philosophies.
My condolences, Phillies fans. But MLB, Fox and Smoltz, keep crying.
Yeah,
crying face.
I haven't heard anything from Smoltz lately. Again, thank you, Clint, for the super chat. G-Man, yep, there's no need. Last year, the Astros were mentioned. I mean, they offered Carlos Correa a contract. That's done. They moved on. Let's see, who's MVP? This guy right here, Jeremy Pena, MVP. Jeremy Pena is the MVP. Not Framber Valdez. This man is a champion. This man is also a champion. By the way, Will Smith is now a back-to-back champion. Will Smith with back-to-back rings. Poor Robinson Cano. He had a ring stake in 3 teams in this postseason, and he just didn't go to the right team. Robbie Cano, the one team you should have picked up a 10-day contract, basically, is what it felt like he was bouncing around on for those familiar with NBA. It felt like he should have had a 10-day contract or something to get latched on with the Houston Astros. Let's see. Will Smith didn't do anything. Must be nice getting a free ring. Balin, I know. He didn't do a thing, but he is going to get a ring. Smith like Robert Horry. Did Smith win one with the Giants at all? I can't remember if Smith won one with the Giants. But yes, you've got back-to-back. So where does Will Smith go next year is what we all need to be watching, because that's going to be the favorite. That's going to be the favorite to win the World Series next year. Indigo, I think the Astros made the right decision passing on Carlos Correa. I don't know, but something tells me this Jeremy Pena kid is going to be all right. Yeah, Indigo, good call on that. That's a good. You really put yourself out there, Indigo. I'm kidding with you. I'm messing with you. Yes, you're right. They definitely made the right decision. They knew they had something. I don't think they knew they had something this. I mean, listen. To go out there and have a nice regular season, be in the mix for AL Rookie of the Year, it's going to be J-Rod. But to be in the
that was the last game with the full shift and no pitch clock. We will be a bit of a different game next year.
It will be. That's a good call. Paul, what's going on, man? Correa and Springer don't care. They made bank this. Yes, they did. Topher rocks. That's a very good call. What is this game going to look like next year with the pitch clock? Valdez gets sped up a little bit. Batters got to get in there a little bit quicker. I mean, listen, that'll be interesting. The pickoff rule, the pitch clock, the pickoff rule, the shifts. How do teams play it? Baseball's going to look different next year. No doubt about it. Good call, Topher Rocks. Thank you for bringing that up, and thank you for the donation. This will be interesting to see. So now think about what Houston did with Carlos Correa. Will they do the same thing with Justin Verlander? Because, again, I just ran through it. Before you bring Verlander back, because he's got a player option. I think he opts out to get a multi-year contract if he really wants to play to 45. Houston, if you're in a situation where Verlander's like, I'd love to be back, give me that same AAV, but give it to me for 3 years. Give me 2 guaranteed years and a mutual option for a third or something like that. Houston might say no, because you've got 6 pitchers right now after Verlander. You've got 6. So that will be interesting to see how this thing moves forward with Verlander, with the Astros, and what they do moving forward. This is your MVP, though. I do think I still have the poll up. Let me update the poll, because at this point the poll is ridiculous. Let's update the poll. You guys did go overwhelmingly Pena, but again, we left it up after Pena was there. Let's see. Let me ask you this. Let me start a new poll. Do you agree with Pena being MVP? Let me ask you that. We'll put that out there, and you guys can let me know if you agree with Pena being MVP. If it should have been somebody else. We've had some votes for Presley. We've had some votes for Abreu, or at least some comments in the chat for those guys. I do believe it was always going to come down to either Pena or Valdez, and I would have been perfectly fine if they wanted to do a split thing and give it to both of them. Give it to a pitcher and a hitter. Just think about how important pitching was in this World Series. Think about how important it was in this World Series, and we don't reward it. Paul, I'm with you on that. Not a dynasty yet, but I do think that they're set up to be one. They're set up to be one. 2017, it was 5 years ago. If you win 1 in 17 and 1 in 22, and you got all that time in between, I know you went to a couple in between. You went to 2 in between that period, but you didn't win them. I can't go dynasty yet. Listen, the Bulls, the Lakers, when they were winning theirs in the NBA, the Yankees when they were running off back-to-backs. If you want to be a dynasty, you have to have at least 1 back-to-back in there, okay? So go out there and win it next year. Go out there and win it again next year. You got to have a back-to-back in there. That's one of the qualifying. If I'm looking at the resume, I'm looking for a back-to-back in there. Only 16 likes away, everybody. Be sure to hit that like if you have not yet. We are only 16 away from our goal with over 200 of you in here. I appreciate you all coming in, hanging out, spending some time, celebrating, appreciating what the Houston Astros have just done. Congratulations to the Houston Astros. There's a lot to like about this Houston Astros team.